In case you didn't hear.
Good evening, and it is 7:04 p.m. And welcome to ANC 5F. We're pleased to see all of you here. My name is Joe Bishop-Henchman. I have the privilege of serving as chair of the commission. And although it's 7:04 p.m., that's not what my body thinks it is. But thank you all for being here, and we'll dive right into it. Commissioner Anderson, would you mind calling the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Hurst.
Here.
Commissioner Sani.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Please hold. I think she's remote. Let me make sure she's unmuted.
Here.
We
Commissioner
heard you.
is present. Commissioner Galvin.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson is present. Commissioner Bishop-Henchman.
Here.
Commissioner Pinckney. Okay, Commissioner Pinckney is not
If you
present.
see her jump in, let me know, and I'll mark her as present. All right, thank you. First item is public comment. We would do this even if DC law didn't require it, but DC law requires us to allow anyone to present to the commission on any topic for up to 2 minutes. So if anybody would like to address your ANC commissioners, this is your opportunity. If you're online, just hit raise your hand or something and we'll recognize you, or if you're in the room, you can actually raise your hand. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, so I'm Jackie Walker. I live on 2021 4th Street in Northeast, and I've been there for a while. So my other neighbors here. And there were just 3 quick areas that I wanted to mention that be addressed. Violence, like we've seen, throughout the city. I know that on March 17th, sometime between 11:15 and 11:30 p.m., there was just this barrage of gunshots from the back area where the cement company is, where the Crucible is, that whole area. I don't know what happened. I expected to see something on the news or in the paper, but there was nothing. And then my son had mentioned on the 24th at around 2:30 in the morning, March 24th, he heard gunshots also. So that's just one area, just, the continuing level of violence within the city and in our ward. The next issue was in terms of parking. And I know this there may be a technical term for this, but on 4th Street, because of the students that go to the Gutierrez school, as well as the bus drivers and so many other folks, it's very hard to find parking in our particular, if you live in park in your own neighborhood, as well as the Crucible, patrons who who are going to the Crucible on Fridays and Saturday nights. It's hard for us to find parking spaces. And I see that in some areas, they're like dedicated parking signs for people in that particular ward. I don't know if it could be investigated for something like that in our area. And then lastly, garbage cans by the Metro bus stands. On Rhode Island and 4th, right there, as you're going in Rhode Island.
They just took away the last one.
Yeah. But between where I live, between B and W, no garbage can. They were there through 2020. When the pandemic arrived, for some reason they took them up. But there's one down by T Street on each side. So there's a lot of trash and a lot of litter, and that just seems like pretty simple fix, and something that just makes sense. So those are the 3 issues I wanted to bring up.
Thank you. I'm sure, so we'll hear from people and then there'll be an opportunity for commissioners to answer and respond. And I'm sure a lot of people want to talk about all of those things. Yes, sir.
My name is William Reed and I live 319 U Street Northeast. I can remember when we had the first quote unquote grassroots at the corner of 4th and V Streets. Okay, now that intersection, 4th and V, cars don't stop at the stop sign. Cars speed past there. Cars don't have the lights on. I almost lost my life at that intersection trying to bring my groceries home when a vehicle ran up on me and I put my hand out like that and I touched touch the vehicle. Thank God, they used to be before the fan right there by that stop violators speeding as well as not stopping at the stop sign. And that's a great concern. So with the new cameras going up, I think it would be a good idea if a camera would go there. It would bring revenue in and it would save lives. Hallelujah.
Thank you, sir. Next,
Can I go?
you may.
James Lee, and I live 2014 4th. Oh, excuse me. James Lee, I live 2014 4th Street. Been living there since 1962. Some of the issues have probably been aired. Apologize for being late. One thing, we were trying to get the trash cans back where they were. We got abundance of trash. I wake up every day and I got to pick up trash twice a day. Now, it would be a little better if we had trash cans there where they were, southeast corner 4th and V, northwest corner 4th and V. They're by a bus stop. And additionally, I would like to see if we can get one at 4th and U. Okay, that's that with that. Propose if we can get a mailbox nearer than Rhode Island and V and 4th and Channing.
Well, sorry, could you repeat those two intersections?
Rhode Island and V and 4th and Channing. I live 2014 4th Street. I got to walk all the way up to Channing or all the way up to Rhode Island and V to go to a mailbox. Okay. More parking enforcements. I heard that said. We got Rap Incorporated. We got the caterers, and we got the school bus people. My mother's 90-some years old. I got to fight for a parking space. I've called down there. I went down there. I've had talked to the supervisors. They should come by there 2-3 times a day. Those people are parked longer than 2 hours. They're jockeying parking spaces, holding spaces for each other, and I can't even get a space. You know what I mean? And I've been there since 1962. And a lot of them are out of zone. They're only supposed to have a 2-hour park, and they're parked way longer than they're supposed to. You know? Okay. More police presence for McDonald's at Rhode Island Avenue, the gas station, a lot of loitering there, shopping center at 5th and Rhode Island Avenue, as well as 4th and W Street. If we already got 2 clubs that got in there, and there's a lot of loitering around there with people just hanging around, and that brings in crime. You know, that institutes crime. People trying to shop can't shop because people begging and loitering and all that stuff. You know, so that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone online? I don't think anyone's got their hands up.
Don't see any.
Okay, anyone else in the room?
I got one quick question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, commissioners, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that because the Eckington sectors are divided into 7 districts or whatever?
If there's no objection, I can quickly respond to that. Basically, yes. So 5F is brand new as of January 1. We were carved out of 5E, which used to cover Bloomingdale, Edgewood, and Eckington. And now 5F is just Edgewood and Eckington. So that district or that commission area of Edgewood and Eckington is divided up into 7 districts of about 2,000 people each.
So who is representing the area of 4th and D Street?
I think it's
Which-
like a line.
Which corner?
5S. I think they say that's 5S. That's Jennifer Anderson.
So that corner, I think, depending on which side of the street you are on,
Three districts.
it's the connection of 3 different districts. So depending on which side you're on, it may be in my district, it may be in Mark's, or Commissioner Galvin, or
So the good news is that 3 people care about that intersection. Yeah.
Hopefully we can get something done.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds
excuse me,
good.
Miss,
Commissioner Anderson.
what's your name?
Yeah, I'm Jennifer Anderson.
Oh, you.
Hello, hi.
Okay, I spoke to you.
Yeah, we spoke the other day.
All right, are there anyone else public comments?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
There's no police representation this evening?
Without objection, I'd like to speak.
That's right.
So we have invited the 5th District of the Metropolitan Police Department to today's meeting. And they plan to present, I believe they are number 10 or 11 on the agenda. And I've asked them to present on several different
Well, I was
options.
just very curious because I live on B Street and that shooting that took place a week and a half ago
Yeah.
was right across the street from me. I mean, had us paralyzed in our beds. And there was video recording of it. So we all know that the police know that the incident happened. It took them 10 minutes to get there. And I mean, it sounded like a rat. That's how bad it was.
Mhm.
And the video was provided to the police department. Saw the people that were shooting, saw where they went. But the police, when they finally got there, they only canvassed the area where the shooting was. They didn't address the property where the people were. And actually, they were sitting there when these kids came out of this house and got in a car and rode off somewhere else, and they were never approached or anything. So the police are in the area, but there's nothing being done about it. Those same kids are still walking up and down the street. And we know what kind of firepower they got underneath their jackets. So I was just curious as to the police presence because that needs to be addressed. I mean, they know who these people are. They know where they live.
Can I get your name, ma'am, for the record?
They were
Can I get your name for the record?
Judy Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we'll go to response to public comment, and why don't we just kind of go down the line? We'll go with you, Commissioner Anderson.
Yeah, so I think first, the issue about the trash cans, we've been hearing from a lot of neighbors, and I think this is a good meeting for everyone to be present. We actually have a presentation from someone from DPW today to talk about what the process has been for about the adding and mostly the removal, but the process for adding trash cans as well. So very much hear you. We've been hearing from other neighbors as well. So, so stay tuned for that part of the meeting. I think the points about traffic safety and public safety, we've been hearing from everyone around the neighborhood. We hear you. We spoke to Councilmember Parker, or some of us met with Councilmember Parker yesterday. Unfortunately, some of us weren't able to make it, but we did talk about public safety being a priority for the neighborhood. We know that the council member is working on a plan. We're hoping to do an ANC 5F level meeting with including MPD, but other entities like the violence interrupters, other parts of the city that are involved in public safety, so that we can make sure to hear everyone's concerns, answer questions. So if there are specific issues like the incident that you referenced, Ms. Brown, that you'd like to have answered, please send that to us, and we're working on putting that together. And we just want to make sure all the right players are represented so that we can have a holistic conversation about that.
I'm sorry to interrupt, just to note, MPD is on their way.
Okay, great. I'll let some of the other commissioners answer other components of comment.
Yeah,
Commissioner Sun?
yes. So there have also been a lot of developments, I think even over the past week on the garbage can issue. I think now there's a way for us to file 311 requests to get them added. So I think that'll hopefully be part of what DPW talks towards today. But yeah, I'm not going to bother repeating, but please join the mailing list. That's how we're going to try and notice a lot of these meetings. So you don't have to just keep on visiting the website, but you'll be done.
I'll go last. Commissioner Galvan?
Yeah, agree with a lot of what the other commissioners have mentioned. I have just been appointed the last commission meeting as the Public Safety, Health, and Community Engagement Chair, and I want to hear from you. And I'd love, as long as your contact information is on there, I'd like to reach out to you and partner and see what type of solutions that you have and get your input and really listen to what's happening. I was also Very disturbed. I live less than a block away from the 3rd and B Street shooting that was there. I actually didn't hear it, but someone told me at 3:30, and I stayed up all night after that and tried to engage others. I've spoken to Chairman Mendelson about it as well. And I know, as they mentioned, Councilman Parker has a safety plan, I think this Wednesday, that he's planning to roll out to talk about what we can do there. So with respect to that, agree with respect to the parking. I want to address that question, which was, the first question was about RPP parking, which is residential permit parking. I've heard that from other neighbors as well, that they can't find a parking space in their area. In my door knocking, I heard that some folks maybe don't have the funding to pay for RPP, so they may be resistant to that. So that's one concern to think about. But you can apply for RPP on your block as long as you get those signatures. I think it's of 80% of the people on your block, and that will restrict it. And we can also help if parking enforcement is really important to you. Come talk to us, and we can engage DPW and others and request those types of things for your area. I agree. Traffic traffic safety is a huge problem, and I'm hopeful that as chair, I can kind of help that of the Public Health and Safety Committee as well. So please leave your contact information, and I'll follow up with you.
Excuse me. So you said we would have to apply for RP?
There is a form that you can fill, and if you leave your email, I can send it to you. And you, once you go to your neighbors, that can be applied through the District Department of Transportation. And I can walk you through that.
Okay, now what about those people that's out of zone that got RPP?
As I understand it, if people are not if people live in a unzoned area, they are not allowed to park in RPP areas.
Okay,
that's my understanding.
It's a lot of them there.
I'm sure I've seen a lot of it as well.
A lot of them there. Like I said, you got Rap Incorporated, the caterers, and the school bus people, and that's not my problem.
Understood. I've seen a lot of it as well. That's all for me.
Mr. Hurst?
I recently was on the phone with DPW trying to handle a parking issue that was frustrating and a little closer to my constituents in 5F01. I was told that we should be filing a 311 complaint, and that then we should be documenting how quickly that comes, and if there is a time when the 311 complaint for parking, if it takes a long time to respond, I can email him back and elevate it. First thing that they were telling me though is try and use the system, and that they, that hope we can ask them though in person in a second when we were talking with DPW, but that's the process that they were expressing to me when I was trying to raise this exact issue for a slightly different block. But
Thank you, Commissioner Hurst. Commissioner Williams, looks like you sent it in by text. I'll read it out loud. On April 15th at 10 a.m., MPD will have a neighborhood walk starting at the 600 block of Edgewood. Please come out and we will walk and address your concerns. Please come out. All right, Commissioner Baker's not here, right?
I do not see her
All right.
in attendance.
Then will come to me, and let's see, garbage cans. So I live at 4th and W, just so you know, and I just got back from a trip, and the very last garbage can that was on the corner near me is now gone. And when I first moved here, you could walk that whole stretch, and on every corner there was a trash can. And now, all the way from Rhode Island to the good people at Lost Generation Brewing who are here today, I think there's one garbage can on that whole stretch, maybe two.
What was the rationale about moving the trash?
Yeah.
In the first
So-
place? I mean, why did they do that?
So what we've heard different things over time, and what I understand the rationale has been is that people are illegal dumping, and so to stop the illegal dumping, we'll remove the trash can.
But it doesn't stop it.
You and I all know that. It doesn't stop it, that it
And
just
it's a
shifts where it
rodent
goes,
problem
and
that's out of
actually
control.
it snowballs,
Right.
because as you start taking away more and more trash cans, you get more and more of them overflowing because they're only emptied maybe every week, maybe 3 times a week, certainly not every day, and then we get in this situation. Now,
And then
that's the bad part, and that's kind of where we're at. The good news is Councilmember George introduced a very good piece of legislation at the council, the DC council, to require an explanation from DPW about why, if they remove a trash can, and to come before the ANC and present it. And my understanding is this week, rather than waiting for that legislation to pass, which it looked like it would because it's got co-sponsorship from the majority of the council, DPW is voluntarily kind of going forward with that. So we may find out more about that today, but there may be a process where engaging your ANC, i.e. all of us, to add or remove trash cans can actually get it done. And if that's the case, and I may be misreading that, and we'll find out today. But if that's the case, I will personally co-sponsor any addition of a trash can anywhere in the Eckington neighborhood because I think it's important. On violence, 4th and W, Lieutenant Sprague of MPD is here, so we may have questions answered on some of these incidents. I was at work when that happened, but came home because my husband called me and said there were gunshots, and I woke up Commissioner Galvan, and so he left out who woke him up when that happened. But yes, it's happening a lot. I look forward to seeing what Councilmember Parker comes up with in the way of solutions. He's unveiling something in the next couple of days. And then, of course, there's the big budget discussion happening right now for the DC Council. The mayor just unveiled her budget this past week, and that's going to be a big discussion over the next 2 months. And of course, a big item in that budget is safety response, MPD funding, violence interrupters, all of the things that are part of public safety. And I know Commissioner Galvan has been interested in putting together a forum. Commissioner Williams talked about her safety walk she's doing on April 15th. We're trying to provide lots of forums for people to interact with MPD and express their concerns directly. And I do strongly encourage you to do that. You know, sometimes you may think, oh, you know, they already know about it, so I'm not going to say anything. They don't. Lieutenant Sprague shaking his head. They don't. So please let them know, let us know, and we'll pass that along. Yes, I think I've gone over my time, so I'll leave it there. Any other response to public comment? All right, with that, we'll go to the approval of the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Commissioner Anderson.
I have spoken with Leah from Lyft. We're left my brain, but basically it would, if agreed, basically it would allow Lost Generation to operate under their proposed license. Basically, they're applying for a substantial change to their license. This would permit them to operate under those changes until the protest deadline. That would not give away the ANC 5F's ability to form a settlement agreement with them or to protest the decision by the protest deadline, which I believe is in May.
Okay, so there's 2 items. Let me deal with them separately. So one is to postpone 13F, the presentation by Lyft on scooter safety until April. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani. Is there any objection? Seeing no objection, that item is moved to April. And then the second item from Commissioner Anderson to add as an action item, resolution supporting Lost Generation Brewing Company's ABRA stipulated license application that was distributed today. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Galvan. Is there objection? Seeing none, that item is added. I will add it as item M under 11. Did you have anything further, Commissioner?
No.
All right. Other amendments to the agenda?
Yes, I do. Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
Commissioner
Um,
Galvin.
I have a resolution supporting traffic safety improvements to review safety and durability of the protected bike lane improvements in Eckington and Edgewood. I'd like to.
This is Jay.
This is Jay. Yes, I'd like to remove that and actually pass that along to the Transportation Committee. Defer that. Yes.
Commissioner Galvin moves to remove that item from the agenda. Is there any object? Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Is there any objection? Seeing none, that item is removed. I have two amendments. One, Mr. Bonner of Councilmember Parker's office is present virtually and would like to present, and I would like to add that between 7 and 8, 7.5, for 5 minutes. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani. Is there any objection? Without objection. And my second amendment was on item K, sponsored by Commissioner Galvin. I do apologize. I haven't done the due diligence that would make me comfortable moving forward with that resolution yet. And so I've asked if Commissioner Galvin would be, if it would be acceptable to him to postpone that 1 month to the next meeting. He's indicated he is fine with that. And so I'd like to move that one to the April meeting as well.
I will second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Galvin. Is there any objection? Without objection. Other amendments for the agenda? All right, seeing none, would anyone like to move to adopt the agenda as amended?
I will.
Moved by Commissioner Galvin. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani. Is there any objection? Without objection, the agenda is adopted as amended. Excellent. Next item is referral of items to committees. I guess I will now formally refer item J, what used to be item J, to the Transportation Committee. Are there any other referrals anyone would like to make? All right, so that will conclude that item. The next item is approval of the minutes of the February 28th regular meeting. Commissioner Galvin.
Yes, the meeting minutes were posted about a week ago on our anc5f.com and reviewed by the commissioners. And I'd like to motion to approve the February 28th commission meeting minutes as drafted and posted on the website.
Commissioner Galvin moves to adopt the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hurst. Is there any objection? Seeing none, they are adopted. We're zooming along. Next item, officer reports, starting with Chair. That's me.
Mhm.
Great news, good news, bad news. Great news. We have technical equipment has arrived. So we're very grateful for the Office of ANC for awarding us a technical support grant to enable us to do hybrid meetings. Most ANC meetings are still completely virtual. Some ANC meetings are only in person. You live in one of the few ANCs in the city that are doing both at the same time, virtual and in person. This is a commitment, I think, from, it might be all of the commissioners, I think. It's really important because I think we get a cross section of everybody to be able to participate for the meetings. It also is not easy to do. It requires a lot of technology. And so we're grateful for the grant, and then grateful to Commissioner Sani for making sure it's all working. If it ever is not working, if the sound goes out, the picture goes out, get in the chat, let us know. We are monitoring the chat, and we'll fix that. So great news that that equipment has arrived and it's all set up and it seems to be working. Good news, the IRS has issued us an EIN, an employee ID number, which is one of the 6 things we somehow simultaneously have to do in order to get operating as a commission. It's a say at every meeting, ANC 5F is brand new, started January 1st, and we have to do all the things that new government entities have to do, including getting an EIN number, and now we have it. Bad news. We have not yet gotten our allocation from the district government of our startup funding. I have been assured that we finished everything that we were supposed to finish on February 27th. And all that is required now is the funds will be deposited. And a month ago today, I informed the commission that I was told that the deposit would be coming within 10 to 15 days. And it has not yet arrived. I logged into Industrial Bank right before I came, and it's still not there yet. So this was funding DC Council provided specially to new commissions. There's 6 new commissions, including ours, to enable us to start up expenses and get operating right off the bat in January. And unfortunately, the funds haven't arrived yet. And soon, March 30th, 31st, we'll be eligible for our quarterly allotment, our first regular allotment. So hopefully that'll all be coming soon. I do appreciate Commissioner Hurst's hard work at hunting down answers and getting people to say, oh yeah, everything's good on our end, and trying to find out where the holdup is. But and I do appreciate there's a lot of commissioners that have fronted costs out of their own personal pocket and are awaiting reimbursements, and I appreciate your patience on that. That's all I have. Vice Chair, Commissioner Anderson.
All right. I'll make this quick so that we can get into the meat of the meeting and save the rest for the end for those that are still present with us. But quickly on the funding point, I did talk to Director Bass today, who's the head of the Office of ANCs, which is the district department that provides support to ANCs, and he did assure me that they are working on it, but we are pushing on it, and we did mention that in our meeting with Councilmember Parker as well, because we currently have negative $150 in our bank account. Yes, rich in enthusiasm, not in funding.
Negative 175.30.
Okay,
So.
it's gone even further since yesterday. Great. With that said, we are still, it's really great to have everyone in the room and online. We are still recruiting for volunteers to serve on the committees, which are formed of our neighbors. So we have committees for alcohol licensing, public safety, health and community engagement, transportation and public space, zoning and development, and library task force. So those are 5 different communities. We're still recruiting for them. We'd love to have a broad cross-section of the community represented. So if you or anyone that you know who may not be present at this meeting might be interested in serving and providing a community voice on those topics, please let us know. Happy to answer any questions of what that might entail, but please let your neighbors know, especially for your neighbors who are complaining about trash cans, tell them this is a great way to get engaged and make something happen about them.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Treasurer, Commissioner Hurst.
I think as most of my fellow commissioners have noted, we have no money. So for our treasurer's report, I can tell you that we haven't spent any money. And we've been very careful in documenting that we haven't spent money. So I should stop there as the treasurer, I think.
I do have a question.
Oh.
It's an easy question, but I figured it should be on the record. We are negative 175. Where has the negative 175 come from?
Sure. The ONC has ordered the official checkbooks for our commission. They did that without asking us to do that, and therefore all but $35 of that was for paying for checkbooks, so that we would have the official checkbooks, and then $35 is a overdraft fee to pay for those checkbooks. So.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other questions?
Yeah.
Did you have anything further?
No, I'm set.
Okay, thank you. Secretary, Commissioner Gallant.
Yeah, thanks. So big thing is checking out our website, anc5f.com. If you haven't, we post all our information on what we plan to talk about 7 days in advance, including trying to get the presentations so that we can get your feedback and comments before the meeting, so that if we want to debate and discuss it, you can let us know ahead of time as well as an option. I will let you know that we've been grateful to get the Edgewood Recreation Center right now, but they will kick us out at 8:30. That's how long our permit lasts. So we'll just need to be cognizant of that. We may have to move our meeting time up to 6:30 for the next rounds if we want to keep using this space, or we will continue to look for other spaces. But of course, all of our information will be found in.
That concludes officer reports. Next item is committee and task force updates. We skip alcohol licensing because it's not yet been established yet. Public safety, Commissioner Galvin. Oh, what did I do?
Council Parker's office.
Oh, you're right. We added that. Thank you for that. Point of order, Commissioner Hurst. Mr. Bonner of Councilmember Parker's office, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Me unmute him.
Oh, yes, you're being unmuted. You should have a,
Hey,
There we go.
I can't start my video either, or can I share my screen?
let him share his screen.
Hold on for a second.
1 moment.
Actually,
Uh,
1 second.
All right, we're gonna make you a co-host. We'll do it that way.
Sorry, I need to join the meeting to do this.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I gotta put on my special back. Oh, I don't have it here. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Bonner. I am on the edge of 5E and 5F. Can you hear me?
Don't
We can
judge how
hear
many.
you, we just can't see your screen yet, but go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
All right, now we can see you too. All right, there
Okay,
we go.
great. So, hello, everyone. My name is Sam Bonner. I am the Constituent Services Coordinator for Council Member, the new Ward 5 Council Member Zachary Parker. And I am responsible for ANC's 5E and 5F. And I'm right on the edge between them. I'm at Lincoln and Rhode Island, so I'm a neighbor nearby. I can walk to almost everywhere in the ANC. And yeah, if you have any needs, or I can't drop it in the chat. Oh, I can. Okay, great. So if you have any needs in terms of escalating something, getting a call back from a city agency, anything like that you need escalation for, that is my job, is to help out. So as you can see on the top, here is our office staff. And let me move forward. Let me see. Here we go. Okay, yeah. Well, we're definitely encouraging folks to sign up for our weekly newsletter, and they can go to the short link here, ward5.us/newsletter. And you can see, you can both sign up and also see previous issues there. We've been putting a lot of information in there to help people get engaged, have a voice in the budget process as we move forward, and so much more. Office hours, obviously, if you want to set up a time to meet with the council member, you can also stop by. We're in 5 days a week in Suite 102 at the Wilson Building, and you can follow the council member. So we're going to do some highlights real quick. So the mayor, we're in the middle of the budget process, which is a long, protracted process, but we just learned last week that the mayor released her proposed budget. So that's not the final budget. That's not what's going to be next year's budget. It's just the starting point. And in it, we had a number of Ward 5 wins, including a number of things here. None of the ones listed here are in ANC 5F, but I do know that Harry Thomas Rec Center got some money for a renovation, and I can also kind of dig through it again to dig out just what's in this ANC. Sorry, was Commissioner Anderson? Did you say something?
Oh, just that Harry Thomas is in our ANC.
Right, exactly. Sorry, I was just saying it wasn't listed on the presentation.
Okay, got it.
We also this past week introduced 2 big pieces of legislation. One is the School Safety Enhancement Act of 2023. That was to address the issues of school safety, especially because what we'd heard from the principals in our community was that they needed more capacity to be able to actually address the issue of safety, especially given the drawdown of school resource officers, or SROs. So this is a bill to make sure that every school has a safety lead, and that can be it can be related to law enforcement, but it also could be more focused on mental health, on social work, on special needs, whatever, and ideally connecting all of the different pieces and having one coordination person and leader responsible for every school. So we have a number of, we actually added one or two more introducers, or not introducers, co-sponsors of the bill. So we actually do have a majority on that bill. So we're hopeful to push for it and also push for funding for it this budget cycle. And this ties into what we heard from some of the community comments earlier, but also just in general, what we're hearing is that people are really concerned about public safety. We've put out a kind of tentative or first cut high level public safety plan for Ward 5. And the strategies are focused on streamlining communication and coordination across our different agencies and across the different tactics that we can be using and strategies, targeting hotspots, both with better enforcement, but also with actually meeting the needs and getting to the root causes of why those things are happening there, expanding our safety tools, connecting our communities between each other, especially across differences, and improving our public safety apparatus through policy and advocacy. And the plan provides both short-term and long-term approaches to addressing our public safety needs. So we can see here a little bit more about our both strategies and what the different actions look like underneath that strategy. And I'm happy to share this, but again, this was in our most recent newsletter, so you can dig into it. But I do want to highlight one of the big things we're hearing, not just with safety, but across the government right now. And we aren't responsible for the government. We're trying to hold the government accountable, pass laws and pass the budget. So in my kind of frustration, sometimes helping people navigate the government, I found that this is an issue of communication and coordination across the board. We need our different agencies to not just be spending money in silos, not just be kind of operating, doing their own thing, and then no one is effective, but actually connecting each other and having a coordination hub, both through regular meetings, but also having some sort of, there was a recent task force that came up with this idea of a peace room, one central hub where they are doing the targeted outreach. They are sending the different types of strategies and tools to the different needs and places that exist across the ward and across the city. Targeting hotspots, as I said, bringing in violence interrupters, as well as DBH, the behavioral health and substance abuse folks, and MPD, and expanding our safety tools. MPD has a camera rebate program, but we want to improve the quality of those cameras, as well as expand them to be motion light detectors, which we've heard was helpful for a number of neighbors actually in 5E who said that they installed solar powered motion detection lights and they had good video of people who were coming in to rob and ran away. We also want to build a neighborhood and block captain strategy through group chats and phone trees to connect people and also be able to reach people who and map our communities. And then, as we said, we're working on a number of different legislation, both the School Safety Act, the private right of action to sue and hold accountable gun manufacturers, improving the efficiency and acting on the audits of MPD, OUC, which is the 911 Center, and the Department of Forensic Sciences, working with the Attorney Generals to figure out how we can actually find constructive consequences, both for adults, but especially for youth. And also to advocate even to the federal level for local authority over our own justice system. Because right now, the U.S. Attorney's Office is not responsible to us. So I'm going to stop my share. I know that was a lot, but I only have 5 minutes. I'm sure I went over. So I apologize for that. But any questions from commissioners or from the general community about anything I talked about, or even just anything in general?
Great. I'll start from commissioners. Commissioner Sani.
Yeah, relaying a question from Commissioner Williams, who's remote right now. Could you share this presentation with the commission so we can recirculate it to our constituents?
Yeah,
and
we'll
have
put it
a
on the
reference?
website if you can send.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll do.
Thank you.
Other questions from commissioners? Questions from the public? Mr. Bonner, how can people reach you?
We'll share this.
Yeah, so the easiest way, if you have something specific you want me to escalate to an agency, is to send me an email, because then it's my to-do list and I'll dispatch it to the appropriate person I have contact with. And that's BONAR. So my name's Sam Bonner at dccouncil.gov, and I put it in the chat as well. That is our main line. I'm having a brain fart a little bit on whether it's 1344 or 1334 of my office number. So I'm looking that up, and I'll put that in the chat as well.
Thank you, Mr. Bonner. That'll conclude that item. All right. See if we can
Thank you
race
for
through.
having me.
Thank you. Committee and task force updates. Alcohol hasn't been established yet. Public safety, Commissioner Galvin.
Yeah, I'll be quick here. We're starting up. We sent out a survey for all those that were interested in being part of the Public Safety, Health, and Community Engagement Committee. I've had at least 2 or 3 others that are interested, and at least 3 others or 2 out of those 3 that want to be a part of that, and I'll be nominating them tonight to be a part of that. I'm looking for all sorts of community members that are interested in helping out, and I want to welcome all types of ideas and thoughts on that. So if you have some, talk to me. Love to tell you about it. I expect it will be once a month for a couple of hours to meet and strategize, and it may require knocking on doors, maybe 3 or 4 hours in the beginning, until we kind of get together a really comprehensive public forum with questions and answers so that we can really be helpful to the community. So in that respect, please contact me, 5F04@anc.dc.gov. In touch.
Thank you. Transportation doesn't exist yet, although we just sent them something. So if that's an issue that jumps out at you, please apply for that committee and we'll put you straight to work. Zoning, same deal. Task force and outreach, Commissioner Sonny.
Yes, so as Chair Bishop Harris mentioned, we now have improved meeting technology, and hopefully people at home can hear a lot better. We're not passing around someone's iPhone, which I think is an improvement. And hopefully the video is coming across great as well. We accept all feedback. This is all just work in progress. There is no blueprint for this, so we're making the blueprint. We've had a lot of questions from other commissions on how we're doing this. So our hope is that we can provide these resources to our neighbors who haven't quite figured it out yet. Next up on the task force's radar is actually getting what I'd call a proper website up. Right now we have a website, which is important for sharing our materials and plans with y'all 7 days in advance, providing information on how you get onto committees and such. But we want to make something that's truly, right now it's a bear to kind of maintain. So we want to make sure that we can provide that for all of the commissioners and then for constituents to use. So if there's anything you think is a useful thing for a government resource like our website to have, please let us know and we'll be sure to incorporate it within our planning and design process there. But I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. And then library task force, same thing. Before we move to the presentations, we do have Anthony Black from the Mayor's Office of Community Relations on the virtual agenda. And I'd like to move to recognize him for 5 minutes to share with whatever he'd like to share. Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Is there any objection? Without objection, we will do that. If you could please unmute Mr. Black and welcome.
Good evening. It's truly a pleasure to be on here. I just have a few quick updates. I want to let the community know that the rec hours have currently changed. Turkey Thicket and Edgewood will be staying open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. during the week. Saturdays, they'll be open from 9 to 5. The summer camp lottery is still currently open until April the 15th. So if you have any children that would like to be a part of DPR summer camp, please feel free to enroll them in the lottery. Let's not forget about street sweeping as well. Street sweeping is in full effect. Please make sure you move those cars off the side of the street that needs to be swept on whatever particular days they need to be swept. And also the mayor's having a event at Turkey Thicket tomorrow. Pickleball with the mayor. Right. Starts at 11 o'clock a.m. And with plenty of food, plenty of drinks. It's open to the public to just come on out and learn. I guess learn the game of pickleball. And let's not forget the budget as well. If you haven't gotten a chance to take a good look at the budget, you can do so on budget.dc.gov. And again, I'll drop my information in the chat for any commissioner or neighbor that needs to get in contact with me. We'll be doing a neighborhood, myself as well as Christopher Ingram. We'll be doing a neighborhood sweep Friday. So if there are any hot spots in the neighborhood that you would like us to get our eyes on, please feel free to send me an email or a text or a phone call and let me know, and we'll definitely be there. But again, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it, and that's it for my updates.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Would you mind if any questions got asked?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
Any questions from any commissioner first? Commissioner Galvan.
I'll make a comment. Could you add?
Question.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
I'll wait. I would think it would be great if you could add to your sweep the 4th and V Street intersection location.
Yes, sir. I actually wrote that down. 20 minutes ago into the meeting.
Yeah, I really think between Rhode Island Avenue and 4th Street down to V Street is a pretty significant area to check out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Question from Commissioner Williams. Oh, can we go back to that?
Commissioner Williams' question was, will there be transportation for seniors for the pickleball event?
Not that I'm aware of. I can check into that and I'll send you an email first thing tomorrow morning. But we weren't notified of transportation picking up any seniors, but I'll definitely check in to make sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Other questions from commissioners? We have 2 minutes. Questions from the public? Not seeing any. All right. Thank you, Mr. Black.
Not a problem at all.
All right. Next item, presentations relating to agenda items. First one I have is Pritzker Realty Group relating to the Monroe Street Market PUD and zoning map amendment application to the Zoning Commission. Commissioner Hurst, I think this is your show.
Yes, and we hopefully have a fabulous lawyer from the Zuko Group ready to go.
Yes, indeed. And I wasn't sure about camera.
Can they see us?
Can you guys?
One moment.
Like, it's been so long since we had like non-virtual presentations. Like, I didn't even know like I could still get these printed.
Oh wow, yeah.
Like it was, so
our online audience can see you if you want to move a little closer. Maybe.
Perfect, great. So I'd say first to the ANC, it's great to have these in-person meetings. It's been a long time, and I commend you for doing it with a virtual setting as well. Just to introduce myself, my name is Paul Tummies. I'm a zoning and land use attorney with Goulston and Storrs. I've been working with the developers of the Monroe Street Market project since its inception in 2008. And just to give everyone a sense of what we're really talking about here today, the Monroe Street Market project is 5 blocks just to the south of Catholic University, just to the south of Michigan Ave. So we refer to them as Block B. This is the kind of the Flatiron building here. This is Monroe Street that comes down. And then it is blocks A1, A2, B, C, D, which is the Arts, Brookland Arts Flex Space building, and Block E. So what we're here to talk about this evening is basically the reallocation of some of the parking. Right now, there are 736 parking spaces located below these buildings. And as the project has evolved, as people have moved in and started to live in these buildings, use these buildings, we have a better sense of what parking is available, what necessary needs we have to move forward. The reason why we're here tonight is that for this Block E building here, which is on Monroe Street, 7th and 8th Street, for those of you who've been by recently, the building is occupied. There's 156 residential units, but there's about 16,000 square feet of residential space that the owner wants to lease. And I will say too, we have online with us virtually 2 representatives of the owner of the Pritzker Realty Group, John Poe and Candace Grant. So what we're looking to do here this evening is right now there are 99 parking spaces in Block E. Those are supposed to be allocated 39 spaces for retail uses and 60 spaces for residents. In order to lease this space here, what the ownership group has heard is that the retailer they want all those spaces. And to kind of take us back to 2009, when this project was initially built, the idea was all of the retail parking in this project was going to be provided here in Block A1. When we went back in 2018 to redo Block E, we said, can we get 60 of those spaces for residential, 39 for retail? And I think here we are now in 2023 saying, you know, what we're hearing is if we're going to be able to get a grocery store here in Block E, the grocer says we want all the spaces in the building. People, when they come to a grocery store, they want to feel like they can come park in that one below grade level. So that is the ask. Just more like data, for lack of a better term, to justify what we're doing. I know this is tough to see, but what this is basically saying is in these other buildings, there are anywhere between 185 and 200 parking spaces available on any given day. So what we found is that there is capacity to have those residential uses, those residents in the Block E building to be able to park in an adjacent building, still allowing a retail operation, hopefully a grocery store, to occur in Block E and not putting any more burden on the adjacent streets for parking. Those spaces are there. We think this is a better way to utilize them. And probably most importantly, thank you very much for pulling up.
Sorry.
This is
A lot of
what
documents.
is really, we hope, is the hook, for lack of a better term, to get a really good quality retail operator into Block E. So in order to do that, we have to go to the zoning commission. The zoning commission initially, as I said, approved this PUD project in 2009. So any changes to like the reallocation of parking spaces requires zoning commission approval. That's what we've sought. We filed that on March 16th. We've had discussions with Commissioner Sani and Commissioners Hurst, who both represent properties in the Monroe Street Market. And we're seeking your support for this as we go in front of the zoning commission. And as I said, I'm here to answer any questions, as well as representatives of the Pritzker Group, John Poe and Candace Green. Thank you.
Comments or questions from any commissioner? Mr. Anderson.
Could you state for the public when that hearing in front of the zoning committee?
So right now, we are proposing a modification of consequence, which are tended to be just, we're not talking changes to the building, its height or its mass. So it is not a type of requirement that is not type of application that requires a public hearing. That being said, they will most likely schedule this for a review at their second meeting in April, which will be late April.
Okay, thank you.
Other commissioners? Commissioner Sun?
Yes. So to just confirm, because I appreciate your reaching out to both Commissioners Hurst and I, so we could ask some of the initial questions, then get some ground level confidence in what's been proposed. Could you articulate how many residents of, I guess, the Block E building are currently utilizing the parking garage?
Absolutely.
And what the plan is if we were to endorse this and the modification of consequence is adopted, what the timeline for that would look like?
Sure, absolutely. So first, so as I said, there's 158 residents, residential units in Block E. Probably not surprising, given this, the vast majority of them are Catholic University students. Of the 158 units, 51 currently lease space. So obviously this is going to take us some time to work it out. The game plan is that for those 51 residents who we'd asking them to move someplace else, the ownership group would make them whole, would move them someplace else, would no longer charge them. I mentioned that there's lots of AU students there, mostly to say that those leases turn over typically more quickly than another lease. You know, most of those leases are year long. So if we know this moving forward, new people leasing will know that they are not going to have opportunities to be in the building below, but in building next door.
And when you say move them, you mean move the cars or
move the cars? Yeah. Yeah. I think
they can still live in Block.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quick question. So just hypothetically, if we say yes, if the zoning board says yes, how soon would it be that there would be an announcement on what the grocery store might be that we're hoping to get?
That's what everyone's gonna want.
That's
Everybody wants to know that, yeah.
And that's where I get to find, Mr. Poe is online, and so again, John Poe is with Principal Realty Group. He is the person who's having the discussions with the various.
I think I just got unmuted. Can people hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So unfortunately, the grocery store that we're in discussions with has asked us to sign a confidentiality agreement that precludes us from revealing their name. We did ask them if we could use their name in settings like this with government bodies, and they unfortunately declined. So we're very excited to let you know who it is. We've told them we wouldn't do that until they're ready, and I don't think they'll be ready until they're about to open for business.
I had a question, Commissioner Hurst, for you. So this is on our agenda as A. I'm sorry, I haven't looked at my email in a couple days. Could you refresh my memory as what the action item is that is item A?
I believe that we are asking for a vote to recommend approval of the modification of consequence that they are seeking.
So sending a letter of support to the zoning commission.
Yes.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from commissioners?
Question.
Commissioner Anderson.
Will the construction that takes place for this have any impacts on traffic flow in the area?
No, I mean, because right now, the only construction we're talking about was like the tenant build out, for lack of a better term of this. And also because this is about a 16,000 square foot space, so it's not a Safeway or a Giant that are typically 55, 60,000 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
How soon will we see things start to change inside that envelope? Like the build out that you're gonna have to do to hand it to a grocery store.
John, do you have a sense of?
So we would hope to be doing, there's two components to this. There's a piece of construction work the landlord would need to do to prepare the space for the tenant, and then the tenant takes over and installs their racking and shelves. We would hope to be in the space completing the landlord portion of the work later this year.
Thank you. We have some questions online. How many parking spots, this you may not know, but how many parking spots do similar grocery stores have? So the Whole Foodses and the Harris Teeters, how many parking spaces do they typically have?
Yeah. John, are you familiar?
I'm not sure I know. Those grocery stores tend to usually be larger than the suite that we're talking about. So I would anticipate substantially more than the 99 stalls we're discussing today.
So I guess if we were just doing it, so we're proposing 99 stalls for about 16,000 square feet. So someone can help me out with that math, but that's.
All right. We have a question from Commissioner Williams. Have you spoken to the residents and what was their response?
John?
He muted himself. I have to unmute him again.
Okay.
Thank you. It took me a second to get off mute. We have not yet spoken to the residents. I think that would be premature until we have a lease signed with the grocery store. And this is a hurdle we need to overcome before we can get to finalizing a lease document with them.
Just to follow up on that, have you, I think there's also the issue of the parking spaces and the moving. Are residents aware of that, or is that not for a discussion until the?
I think we need to know that it's real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Sorry, Commissioner Galvin.
I know you can't tell us who the grocery store would be, but can you tell us who it's not?
Well, thank you. Questions from the public.
We'll do in-person, online.
Yeah, in person. Yes, sir.
Sure. What happens if the grocery store falls through? Are these still considered?
I mean, I think the goal would be, I mean, right now, that space has been vacant, right? And it's not really doing anyone a lot of good to have the vacant space. And so we are hearing, whether it's a grocery store or, right, I think I'm speaking out of turn to say, at one point there was a thought maybe it'd be a CVS would go in there, and it didn't. we think that what we've heard basically from the retail brokerage community is just freeing up those parking spaces for retail will just give you more flexibility. And I think as we did the math and we looked to say that there is excess capacity for the 60 residential spaces just across the street, we think that it makes sense that whether it's maybe not the grocery store, but another good quality retailer is going to like to like.
I have a question on tenancy percentage. So I can't
Yeah.
tell, 158, those are the available residential units in total
In Block E,
in Block E, and
Yes.
60 of those have assigned spaces. What is the percent of tenancy of the 158 units? How many of them are occupied?
100%.
They're 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, that would help.
Time has expired on this item. Is there anybody who wishes to extend time?
I'd like to extend time by a few minutes. There's some folks online who've not had a,
Okay, Mr. Sonny moves to extend time by
let's say another 3 minutes.
another 3 minutes. There a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hurst. Is there any objection? Seeing none, time is extended. You want to read off some of the questions?
We already.
No, she has another follow-up question.
Oh. All right. So Commissioner Williams has expressed that, so you would like us.
Just read it verbatim.
Yeah. How do they want support from us and not have had the conversation with tenants?
I mean, I think that, so as we've discussed, the impact really would be for those 51 people who currently have leases. And even as Mr. Poe mentioned, most of those tenants are on a year-long lease. We would not be having them have to leave their existing parking space for probably over a year right now. Like, just if we're doing the math of the landlord gets the space ready to be occupied by the end of this year, it will probably be 3, 4, 6 months for the then grocery store or other retail tenant to do their fit out. And then by that time, we get the approval in April. Any new yearly lease will have this, and that they'll be aware. So we think that there is opportunity for those 51 people who currently have leases to address that. And I think what the commitment has also been is that they will be provided free parking for the remainder of their lease term somewhere else. I think that they will probably not be.
That's correct. That's correct, Paul. We don't expect this to impact anyone under their current lease. It's going to take more than a year to get the store open.
Great. And I think that addresses the question of when would they open? Like, what would you say the earliest they could open is?
John?
Little over a year from now.
And is parking the only issue left for negotiation?
No.
All right.
Yeah, I would say, John would say, we wish. Yeah.
I think that concludes that item. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I have gotten a note that says, since we now have Lost Generation Brewing on the agenda, maybe we should hear from them before we vote on it. Right now, we hear from them after we vote on it. That doesn't make much sense. So if you don't mind us moving you up to present now, we can do that. While you're getting ready to do that, I have laid out Post-its here representing all of the items on the consent agenda. Please remove the commissioners only, not members of the public. Remove any items you want removed from the consent agenda. And if there's anyone online, just send a chat as you've been doing to Commissioner Sani, and he'll do that for you. So with that, Lost Generation Brewing, 5 minutes.
Or, yeah, wherever.
Hi, my name is Jared Pulliam. I'm Ann Cho. We're the owners of Lost Generation Brewing Company down in Eckington. So we're off of S Street. We also live 2 blocks away from that, so we're also residents of 5F as well. Basically, we've applied for kind of a change in our licensing. So right now we're in a manufacturer B license, which only allows us to sell our product, which is our beer, which thank you so much, community. You guys have been coming out and it's been awesome. So that's been great. Unfortunately, we've gotten a lot of feedback that people wish we had more gluten-free options. And I mean, with the limitation of I can only sell that which I can make with malt, that makes that hard. Luckily, DC has amended some of their laws. We're not big on distribution, and then they have carved out this thing called a Tavern C license or a Retail C Tavern license with a brew pub endorsement. That they would be better with the terminology than I am. I'm sorry, I just make the beer. And it would allow us to sell wine as well. And technically it would allow us to sell liquor, but we have absolutely no desire now. We have both worked in bars before and we know what liquor does, and no thank you. But we would just like to be able to sell wine to people who want a gluten-free option. And this Tavern C license would allow us that while restricting our ability to distro, which is not an issue to us because we only just sell to the community. And then the other aspect of it is we'd like to open up a garden patio. Again, as residents, we don't have anywhere that we can sit and enjoy food or drink in our own neighborhood, and especially outside. Usually if I want to go have a beverage or a plate of food, I have to walk across North Capitol to Pub and the People, which I'm giving my money to a different district at that point, which don't get me wrong, amen to Pub and the People. Thank you so much. Thank you. You have kept me afloat on so many nights. But that said, we just want to be able to offer a garden patio. And we wish to, adhere to normal quiet hours. So 10 p.m. would be the latest that we would be open on any given night. And we just wish to have people have an outdoor setting if it's nice outside. And I think that's the crux of it.
Thank you. We'll open up for comments and questions. This is my district, so let me just jump in with two comments. One, the Abra placard had midnight as some of the hours of operation, and that certainly caught my notice for the patio hours of operation. I've been assured that that was a typo and a clerical error, and it was meant to be 10 p.m. And what I've proposed and talked about with Commissioner Anderson and some of the others is drafting a settlement agreement between the ANC and Lost Generation on hours of operation and trash and noise, and coming to terms on that. That way it'll be a binding enforceable agreement. So, you said here, you want to serve wine but not liquor, but putting that in a document that that we can all stand behind. So what I think Commissioner Anderson has added to the agenda is to allow us to negotiate that over the next month, and in the meantime allow you to move forward with continuing to open up the patio and get moving on that. So to members of the public, if this is an issue of interest, please reach out to us. Assuming this passes, reach out to us and help us shape this agreement and make sure that we're all being good neighbors here. Commissioner Anderson.
I'll add comment to that. So since I know a lot of folks have been involved in ANCs before, but since we are a new commission, just for clarity's sake, the settlement agreement does need to be adopted in a public meeting. It'll come back to the meeting. The protest deadline isn't until May, so we will still have our April meeting to discuss this. The resolution I proposed is essentially to allow, since the weather has been nicer than expected, earlier than expected, basically the resolution that has been proposed would allow them to open that patio and then in the meantime, we'll continue discussions, but we'll obviously open up to the floor shortly for questions. But if there's specific issues that you have in mind, please send us an email or come find us and we can talk about it.
Comments or questions from Commissioner Gala?
Yeah, I'll say I've had several residents reach out to me and just express support. So they may or may not be on the call, but they have mentioned that they're very interested in having the patio option.
Let's see. Question from Commissioner Williams. Two questions. How do the residents feel? And will the outdoor seating be seasonal?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean,
There's no reason to open it if the weather's not nice.
Right.
It only, it
dark
only cost
business.
us money to open it during colder months. So that's our intention.
And anyone who's ever run a restaurant or bar before, getting propane tanks in December is not the easiest thing in the world. So
unless we're forced to,
I'd rather not.
due to the pandemic. Yeah, our intention is not.
And then as for residents, you've had some residents coming in and they've seen the ever notice and have been asking about it. And saying they support it and everything, right?
Yes, we've got to support, from what I can tell.
Questions from the public?
I
Yes,
was
sir.
someone who mailed Mark in support. I think it's a great operation. I think more eyes in a park, in a garden area on that area of the neighborhood and French Trail would be really positive.
No, I agree. I think it increases public safety.
We hope so. I mean, especially there was the shooting just on Randolph Street just a week ago at 10 p.m. But, you know, maybe if there have been all those people outside, I don't know. I mean, you know, knock on wood, but we hope so.
Ian has his hand up. Let's go ahead and unmute him and let him ask his comment or make his comment or ask his question.
Just a comment of support. Big fans of what y'all are doing down there, and you know, thanks for putting our neighborhood on the map. So very supportive of ours, of wine, and of the outdoor patio, of course.
All right. Thank you. Time has expired on this item. So we'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Public comment on agenda items. This is our second public comment period. If anybody who would like to speak on any of the things that we're voting on today. If you're online, you can raise your hand, or anyone here can raise your hand. Not seeing any. Yes, sir.
I was like to make a comment concerning a question.
Is that Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Clark, go ahead.
I got a comment concerning the parking. The massive traffic changes in the streets, and it's suggested by DDOT, doing that process that people who want to shop at any base or dance place can go over to the parking garage and park there. So, hey, would you be willing to offer them, those that 90 minutes, an extended time of parking validation for those people, since they're literally greatly affected by the one-way traffic on 8th Street?
I don't think we'll be able to offer validated parking to a tenant that isn't in our building. We talk about, we're gonna offer validated parking for people who are gonna be going to the retail use in Block E, but I don't think we'd be able to provide free validated parking for a different operator. But they can, but absolutely, they could, people who go to those stores can park and then they'd have to pay.
All right, other questions or statements? Seeing none, I will close public comment on that, and we will proceed to the consent agenda. Any commissioner want to remove any of the items from the consent agenda? Right now, everything's still on it except for K and J that we pushed, one to committee, one to next month. Going once? Going twice? All right, the chair moves the adoption of the consent agenda, which is items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, L, and M.
So for the folks in the room, what is highlighted in red has been removed from the consent agenda.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hurst. Is there objection? Oh, I'm sorry, we got to call the roll on that.
Okay.
Commissioner Anderson, call the roll.
Okay, Commissioner Hurst?
Aye.
Commissioner Sani?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Hi. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Oh, Commissioner Anderson, which is me, and I vote aye. Commissioner Bishop Henchman?
Aye.
Commissioner Pinckney is not present. We're taking a look.
Let's just make sure.
We're just making double checking,
Okay.
And is not present.
All right, so I have 6, 0, 1 absent. So those items are adopted. All right, thank you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we have no action agenda because those two were kicked.
Yeah.
So we're now to other reports. Eckington Hall on Abra license application. David, are you present?
I saw him online.
He's on there. Can we unmute? Raise your hand if you're David Perez.
David Ross.
Is that it? David Ross. Right there we go.
Hello, can everybody hear me okay?
We can, go right ahead.
Would you like to?
Okay.
My name is David Ross. I'm the owner of Eckington Hall. I'm located at 1611 Eckington Place Northeast, Suite 170, right next to DC Bouldering Company. Basically, I'm along the Woonert on Quincy Lane. Originally, I started off as a pop-up photo gallery about a year and a change ago. Then things morphed into what it is now. I like to call it an art-forward bodega. We do a little bit of everything from host workshops, classes, sell items from vendors. We do a weekly flea market. And so I used to run from the term community space, but because I felt like that gave folks some idea that they can do whatever here, and I'm replaceable. But this place is community driven. We transitioned to like selling. We started providing food because there's like a dearth of food opportunities here. We started doing we do breakfast burritos on the weekends, which has become very popular. And so basically, I wanted to kind of build after kind of listening to the residents, especially some of the condo residents at City Homes in 1625, and also the residents at Judd and Weiler. I wanted to create a gathering place for people to hang, enjoy, eat, and also be able to enjoy beverages. We are also applying for a little outdoor seating cafe. Indoors, the seating would be up to 50 people. And so basically, I want to be a calm, friendly, and gathering place for the residents around here. I've really grown to really enjoy this community, and that's the reason I've really extended my stay. I feel my history managing spaces dates back to 2016. I was the executive director of DuPont Underground. So responsible for the graffiti on the wall, getting that liquor license, and also just opening that space. That was really my crash course in just managing any space in general, because that space is 75,000 square feet. And so, like I said, I really come in peace. I'm trying to be a friendly provider of just trying to provide a great space for community in the Eckington region. And so I'm very thrilled to be at this position, to be able to even speak to you all about kind of like how this space is transitioning into what it is now. And yes, I would absolutely love to continue to activate Eckington as best as we can. So.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. We'll open up for questions or comments by commissioners. Commissioner Sonny.
Yes. What are you actually applying for? Like, what is your ideal use of this space?
Apply for a Tavern C license.
Got it.
Sorry.
There would be liquor sales inside and on the sidewalk cafe within the hours as indicated on the placard notice that Commissioner Anderson is
Sorry, it's
almost putting on the screen.
I'll get there. It's the wrong link. Sorry.
Oh.
I'll look it up.
Oh, okay.
Hold, please.
I've written down here Tuesday 12 to 11, Wednesday 12 to 11, Thursday 12 to midnight, Friday 12 to 2 a.m., Saturday 12 to 2 a.m., Sunday 12 to 10. That's the inside, or is that both inside and sidewalk?
Oh, no, that's it. That's indoors. Outside, just like Lost Gin, outside wouldn't go past 10 p.m.
Okay.
And that's only on the weekend. Everything else is 9 p.m.
And will there be projected audio outside?
No.
Here we are. Please ignore how many unread emails.
Other comments or questions? I guess I'll ask us a question that was asked of the applicant before you, who was right before you. What have the neighbors told you about this idea?
The neighbors are pretty excited. Definitely a lot of, like I said when I opened, a lot of support from. So I'm around densely populated residential. I know, matter of fact, I'm right next door to Jared and Ann, so I know them well. But basically, we have there's Judd and Weiler building. There's 1625. There's also City Homes. There's also 1501 on Harry Thomas Way. And the one thing that people really want is definitely a gathering place. I know there has been a lack of retail here, but I know my landlord is working pretty hard to be able to fill that. So there's really been overwhelming support. I mean, like the support is why I've actually remained in this neighborhood, to be totally honest. I mean, like when I first started here, I never saw it turning into what it is now. So yes, I mean, there has been, short answer to your question, there's been enormous support.
Thank you. One question we have here is, how does Eckington Hall have a long-term lease? Given that it started as a pop-up initially.
So, all right, so we are on a month-to-month basis right now because we're negotiating how long of a lease we're doing. So like, the landlord has offered me a long-term lease. It's just a matter of how many years we want to do, so.
All right, time has expired on that item. Thank you, Mr. Ross. Was it Ross? Yes. All right, next item, Lee Rogers, Departments of Public Works. I think you are here and we're unmuting you, LIA. And I think you may have questions on trash cans if you want to include that in your presentation. 5 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leah Rogers. I'm the Associate Administrator for the Street and Alley Cleaning Division of the Department of Public Works. Although I am representing DPW today, I have notes. I unfortunately cannot address any of the parking or parking enforcement, but I will pass that on to my colleagues at the Parking Enforcement Management Administration. I have 4th Street parking enforcement near the Crucible in that area, so I will pass that on. Now, I think you guys did a greater good bad news. I will go the opposite direction and end on the good news. So the bad news, historically, yes, I've been in my position for a year and learned that we were removing and installing litter cans based off of service requests. As you know, anyone can go into OUC's 311 system and enter a service request for removal or installation of litter cans. We were under the assumption that residents had conversations with their ANCs and had that approval before a request was entered. Of course, that is an egregious assumption, but that was the assumption that we were under. And so we worked to install and remove litter cans off of the service request. What we found was that a resident, and I'll just give a random address at 101, would request a removal of a litter can. Maybe they had concerns about rats or illegal dumping or just all of the trash around it or the smell, and they would request a removal. We would act on that removal. Another neighbor at 105 would see the can was missing and request an installation. We would act on that installation, and then the neighbor at 101 would come back and say, hey, you guys have put back the can I asked to be removed. A year ago, we started working with Councilperson Nadeau and Councilperson Louis George's office on the removal of litter cans. People started reporting that the litter cans were disappearing from their areas and that we had removed them. In an investigation of that, we found what I just described was occurring. Additionally, we found construction was a factor. Cans were being moved when sidewalks were repaired and not being put back. And that the assumption that we were acting on with the coordination of the ANCs was not there. So on to the better news. In working with both of those council people, the law that Councilperson Louis George passed, we agreed, we support. And so we started putting processes and systems in place to officially have that interaction with the ANCs. Any installation or removal of a litter can goes through a process where our supervisor goes out on the street, looks at the area, reviews how many litter cans are in proximity, whether there are retail areas nearby, whether it is a major corridor or intersection, just to name a few of the things that they look at, and they make their determination. That is our actual installation or removal supervisor. So this is the supervisor that will actually do the work. We then transfer that information to our solid waste enforcement and education program. And these are our solid waste inspectors. Their They are also on the ground, but they look more at the regulations, either educating residents on the code or enforcing the code. They look through their history of violations that they've had. They may second the fact that, yes, every time I walk through, there is a lot of trash, or no, there's too many cans in proximity. Both of those pieces of information go to the great people that I see sitting on the video, and those that are not, the ANC. They get exactly what both our supervisor and our sweep inspector recommended in an email. And then they can respond directly to that email, and we start a discussion. In that discussion, the ANCs, as dictated by law, and just because I would like to have a very cordial relationship with all of the ANCs in the district, we talk about, whether they agree or disagree with the recommendations, or whether no one ever talked to them before and they don't even want a can installed in this area for whatever reason. Once everyone has come to the table, DPW will make the final decision, and we will install or remove the can. The installation period is 270 days. Now, it does not take that long, but depending on inventory, as everyone knows, the pandemic knocked things out. We do have that leeway to get cans in to install. Removal is a 60-day process. 30 of that is for ANC feedback. We actually give more than that if we find that the ANC needs more time, but 30 of that alone is just for, as soon as you are notified, you get a 30-day window to review with your constituents, have your monthly meeting, and come back to us with your recommendation. Right now, I am working on 422 requests for installation. I don't know if any of your residents have seen, but we also had one service request. It was a service request that said litter can install, removal, repair. And you had to read through the notes of what exactly was requested. We have now separated that into 3 distinct categories. And so we're now working in those buckets, and a ANC or a citizen can go in and specifically request in 311 a litter can installation, a litter can removal, or a litter can repair. And that's repair is anything, maybe the door is broken, it always flies open, or the handles, or it's missing a lid or a top. Any of that can be listed in the repair. I have talked to, I think, Councilman Bernard, Sam, and we've already discussed some of the areas that require a review. I have on my notes, Rhode Island and 4th, B and W, 4th Street at V Street, the Southeast and Northeast, 4th and U, and 4th and W. Did I miss any of the specific areas that were listed in this meeting?
No.
I think those are all in my district. I like that.
And we'll make sure to send any additional requests that may come in from anyone else.
And this is, just to clarify, this is, maybe it's not new, maybe, I don't know, it seems new, right? This is the change, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
This process that I hopefully was the good news for everyone, is the new process. It is before the law goes into effect, we saw the same need. And so we started putting this process in place. So those notifications will go to your ANC email. They even go so far as to go to this individual single member districts. So both will get a notification of an installation and or removal.
Great, thank you so much,
Thank
Leah.
you.
I had one other space that was mentioned to me, and that's at 4th and Adams.
4th and Adams, got it.
Thank you so much.
And Rhode Island and Fourth, that trash can disappeared in the last 10 days. Maybe it's just sitting in inventory. It can go right back. All right.
Well, unfortunately, we have in some areas of the district, we have our migrant population that does enjoy tossing them over and moving them. So we are in the process of working with MPD and our environmental crimes unit to mitigate that as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Quick question. I know we have to progress before we're at our time allotment. Is there a different or an expedited timeline under this new process for trash cans were removed recently?
Unfortunately, no. We do have to give the 30-day notice for any installation or removals.
We lose you, Leah?
We may have lost you, Leah.
Can you hear me? Oh, I'm sorry.
We lost you for a minute.
Yeah, can you say that again?
Yes, absolutely. We do have to give the 30-day notice for installation or removals. Okay. So that time frame, even if you do reply on day one of getting your notice, we still have to let that 30 days play out before we take action.
Great.
From my perspective, feel free and take 270 days on the removals too. That'd be good.
Noted.
Yeah. Other questions or comments? Thank you, Ms. Rogers. You did bring great news, and I'm sure I expect our emails will be inundated with suggestions for trash can locations, and we will be sure to help them initiate through this process that you've outlined. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Lieutenant Sprague. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Sorry we were late. We were trying to get over here with, besides myself, one of my officers. We're tied up over in the Asheville Edgewood neighborhood for a bit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my time is very limited tonight, so we'll try to get through, give you these points to try to touch on. A lot of folks ask what are our typical beats. I guess that's a question that's coming to the community. How do we deploy our officers? That's kind of a secret. We have some very critical areas that we have to cover every shift to keep people from dying. That's our priorities, keep people from getting shot. And there's unfortunately some neighborhoods within your ANC. If we don't have an officer there, that second that they're gone, shots are going to fly. And so that's kind of how we deploy, and that is our priority. In the Eckington neighborhood, we started to see a exponential increase in thefts over the past couple of years, but even in the past few weeks, had a couple instances on the mountain bike trail, a couple shootings, and a lot of robberies and carjackings. The commander was able to get some overtime allotted. So now we have a beat there that's not mandatory, but as long as that overtime stays funded, I have 2 extra officers every shift that I can put there and guarantee a car's there in the Rhode Island, North Capital, Florida, mountain bike trail, that little square all the time. And there are other officers assigned there for patrol. However, they can get pulled anywhere else in the district as the 911 calls dictate. So, but that guarantees there's a crime patrol car in there doing that thing as long as that overtime remains. There's a question about ongoing investigations. MPDs, we are currently experiencing fewer case closures. We don't have resources to put into investigations because if you haven't heard, I don't have anybody. All right. And we're expecting another 10% decrease before things start going the other direction. And that's what the big heads are saying. I'll be happy with the 10% decrease. Okay. They're also saying 10 years before we're back up to full staff. The government's telling you 10 years, buckle up. Current policing techniques. We use hotspot policing. That is, we use all the best statistics we can to predict where crime's going to be, and I deploy what assets I have there. All right. Officer Chapman, his partner, sometimes Officer Monroe, you almost find them in the 600 block of Edgewood, or at least the car parked there. They've got an area of concentration, and they go around and try to make sure violent crime isn't occurring. We do a pretty good job of it. As far as that area, we've seen very little. There's a homicide a few months ago at 7th and Hamlin. That case has been closed. And the stuff that does happen isn't open cases that go unsolved. Having officers that close allows us to get the resources we need to close the cases. There's a question about our violent crime suppression unit. They are a citywide unit. They are deployed as needed by the chief of police, and the investigations that they run are not specifically tuned to ANC. That does not mean they do not operate in the area. There's a question, the community organizations that we work with. We do and work with just about anybody. Okay, and I want to tie this into the comment that was made. We might not know about the little problems. That doesn't mean not to contact us. I want to reiterate, if Officer Chapman is sitting in the 600 block Edgewood and doing what he's doing all day, and he knows 3 blocks away somebody's having a problem with something, he would love to go and deal with that specific problem instead of, you know, waiting for the shooting that doesn't come because he's there. So any of those little things I can task my officers with, they might find the downtime to be able to address, so let us know about them. It also goes into calls to 911. 911, 311 are pretty much the same thing. The OEC call taker will decide which is the emergency to send the lights and sirens to, which one, don't worry about that. Call us and let us know what your problem is. If anything, it gives us a call for service, which is a stat that, hey, police services are being requested in this area. And despite the limited allocation, at least you'll get your share of the allocation. Don't not report a crime because you think we're too busy. Definitely call it in. And if it's a dog barking and I don't get to it till 6 hours later because I've got everything else going on, at least it was accounted for versus, you know, us not knowing that it's a problem. Traffic ticket. What is the number of tickets given out for traffic enforcement? In 5D, we average 1,200 a month. We used to average about 3,000 to 4,000 a month. Okay. A lot of changes have been made in our statistic gathering. A lot of it was done by the NEAR Act, the questions we have to ask during a traffic stop, pretty much turned writing a ticket into completing a police report. So it takes a lot more time to write a ticket. My officers also are cognizant of the community they're in and the staffing that we have. Traffic stop turns into an arrest. You're off the street for 2 or 3 hours for a misdemeanor that's not going anywhere in the courts. They're not going to do a lot of that enforcement when they're worried about the partners not having the backup they need and the resources we need for violent crime. So you're not seeing officers focused on traffic as much. And that's just as we are stretched thinner and thinner and thinner. That's like one of those extra things we like to do to provide safety. We don't have the manpower for it. When I was an officer here in this district, we had 7 officers detailed to traffic. There's 2 now. So that's kind of where we're at. And we used to have 2 on every shift and a floater. And now we've got 2 period for the district. So traffic enforcement's way down and probably will remain such. However, that's not to say, hey, someone's running the stupid stop sign every day at Lincoln Road in Channing. I don't know if there's a stop sign there, but you know, just a case in point.
Fourth and B.
Fourth and B. It's a black Ford Explorer with DC government tags. Commander. You know, there's nothing to say, hey, that crime patrol officer can't watch for that problem and try to address it. Okay. We still want to know about it because if something specific and small, it might mean kind of small in our world, but it might mean the world to you, and you're who we serve. Yeah. So let us know about it. See if we can get it addressed. Good question. What can DC residents do to help MPD? Stop and say hi to Officer Chapman. All right. Any chance you get? I'm losing officers right now for a couple of reasons. One, a lot of other agencies have caught up with the perks of MPD. We used to be the standard bearer for retirement and salary. It's not the case anymore. And we've treated our officers really poorly the last 3 years. And so getting new ones to come in based on the other options they have. Right now we're offering 20 grand a year to just walk in the door. I'm sorry, 20 grand bonus to walk in the door. That's a pretty good bonus. Yeah, the academy class that just graduated was 20 officers, and that was 2 classes. My graduating class had 28. So that's where we're at. The other reason I'm losing officers is they want to serve a community. They want to be involved. They want to see progress. That's not the people in the community's fault. When we risk our livelihood, risk jail, risk everything we risk to take somebody to jail and they're out before the paperwork gets signed off on by the lieutenant, that's disheartening. You take a violent criminal to jail and they're out the next day and you watch them victimize somebody again, that's disheartening. And you know, every time you go out there, you roll the dice. If you're going to mess up and get in trouble, you're going to get tired of rolling the dice in DC. You go somewhere else. It's not going to throw you in jail for messing up. So support your officers. Say hi to them. Thank them for what they do. And I mean, lean on the people you can lean on. Is what you want your police department doing, what you want it to look like, what you want it involved in, how effective you want it to be. My officers are incredible people. I don't know why a lot of them are still showing up, but they are. It's probably because they believe in the city, they believe in you, and they want to serve. And but we're losing them, and we're losing them fast. They can only take so much. Common things to be aware of. How can you protect yourselves? Be a horrible victim. This is one thing I try to practice. Have anything of value in your house with a serial number. Put it on a Google document. I don't work for Google. I don't get paid by Google. Something simple, something cloud-based. So if you're burglarized or victimized or anything like that, hey, can you send me that email, send me that document, you know, whoever you got to call, you get it sent, emailed to the officer on the scene, and get it straight to a detective and get it uploaded into the police report so we can track it, just have a better sense of closing cases. Same thing with your username and password to your cell phone for tracking. For AirTags, you kind of talked about, I'm touching that in this.
Yeah.
AirTag tracking, that username and password, have that able to be sent to you. Maybe you can log in on the responding officer's phone, check email, and pull it off so we can get that in real time. We have a lot of civilians who sit back ready to track this stuff for us if we can get it for them. So that's very important to have. And I can't necessarily say I'm going to stop the crime or we're necessarily going to, by the arrest of somebody, they're not going to go out and do it again. But if your community can just be a horrible community to victimize, because you get caught when you steal from Edgewood, you get caught when you rob someone in Eckington. If we can create that environment, I think we'll just reap a lot of success in that. So be a horrible victim. As people are going back to work, I'm concerned about burglaries. Burglaries have been way, way down because of everybody's been at home. Dual cylinder locks. That is, it takes a key on both sides. If the bad guys have to break glass to get in and break enough glass to fit their body through, that's great because they're going to find a different house. If they reach in after they broke a single panel and reach in and unlock the door and open it, that's pretty easy. And no one will notice until you get home and find broken glass and something missing. Dual cylinder locks. It's a great thing to be thinking about, especially if you're going back to work and want to know how to protect your house. The CCTV rebate, I think somebody already touched on the other, one of the other presentations. That's a program through the DC government, reimbursement for CCTV cameras. Have them installed, crime happens, a detective will probably contact you and say, hey, can I get a look at your footage or can you review your footage and see if this caught this offense? We close a lot of cases off of that stuff. So please, if you just want to do it your own, you don't want to have the government have any part in CCTV footage in your house, no problem. If you know something happened, email myself, john.sprague@dc.gov. I'm going to set some cards out before I leave. Contact anyone in the 5th District and ask to speak to a detective. We can come and get the footage from you, have it emailed to us, myriad of ways to get it. Do not walk alone while displaying high value items. We just had a horrible spate of people robbing down coats. And especially the Canada Goose brand, they wanted to put their nice red patch right where everybody could see it. Thankfully, with the nicer weather, I think that slowed down a little bit, but it was almost pretty much come rob me. Anybody who had one, it was robbed. And hopefully that's slowing down. But similar things, don't walk around all alone at 3 o'clock in the morning with your $1,000 cell phone to your ear. Just try to be smart with stuff. If you do, know the username and password, so hopefully we can track it and chase them down. If you do unfortunately find yourself being a victim of violent crime, don't resist. We've had a few issues, especially with the food delivery drivers trying to keep their car from being robbed and getting shot for the trouble. Don't resist, just remember. And what I mean by remember, take a look at who's robbing you. What shoes are they wearing? What's special about their clothes? Maybe they got a high visibility sweatshirt on. Look at what's under it, because they're going to strip that high visibility sweatshirt right off as soon as they're done robbing you, because they know that's who we're going to be looking for. Think about what's underneath their shirt. Say, hey, well, they were wearing like maybe something red or white underneath it. That might give us a little better look at. So just try to remember and just identify, find something specific about that person. And those are the ways, if we don't catch them in the moment, we catch them later, because you, ma'am, had CCTV footage on your house and you said, hey, this happened. And you were like, oh, well, I did too. And we called him, come over here, getting into this car. And you had one, oh, well, this car was parked here. And we put it together and get the closure. So all those little things together just make your community the worst community to come to victimize and make them go somewhere else.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, I got to get Officer Chapman back to check off.
That's great. And
if you can leave your cards, and we'll send them to everybody in the minutes, and we'll post it online. I know lots of people have questions.
Sure.
We've also gotten the hook from the rec center that we've got to be done in the next 10 minutes.
Yep.
But thank you for being here, and hopefully we can have you back next month. And going forward.
No problem.
Thank you. We have Hazel Crawford from the Department of Buildings on compliance enforcement. So if we could go ahead and unmute her. Ms. Crawford, as you may have just heard, we're 7 minutes away from getting thrown out of the building. So if you could maybe do a 3-minute version of your presentation.
Yeah, sure thing. And for one, I'm a male. My name is Hazel.
I apologize.
No worries, man. So again, I'm gonna just reiterate to the community at large. We strongly encourage everyone to fill out the inspection forms. I know there has been a lot of communication regarding illegal construction within the ward and also in this area as well. I'm more than happy to provide the ANC team with the enforcement graphic so everyone in the community can be aware of the steps that go into play and enforcement tools when an inspector is sent out and construction general contractors aren't cited, and how the citations work and how the flow operates. Again, my contact information is below, and I'm willing and happy to communicate with anyone one-on-one or a phone call or a brief walkthrough of the community at any given time.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Right on time. Perfect. And then he had a presentation that we put on the website, but we'll distribute that again as well. That concludes other reports and presentations. The next item is appointments to committees or task forces. And we have 3 sets of them. One is Transportation and Public Space Committee Chair, and I believe that's Commissioner Sani being nominated for that. Is that correct?
Yes.
B, the nominations for the Public Safety, Health and Community Engagement Committee, Michael Savage, Lucas Saboski, Demetrius Freeman, and Ian Wing. And we're removing one item?
Just removing Demetrius.
Removing Demetrius. So the others still on there. And then alcohol licensing, Melissa Coughlin, Xavier Halloran, and Mark Hamala.
Yes, I'm sorry. I have for Transportation and Public Space Committee, I'd like to add Savage.
Okay, and Michael Savage to Transportation. This is not an exhaustive list. We can continue to add people in future meetings, but this at least gets these committees started. Would anyone object before I make the motion to adopting all of these at once? Does anybody want to remove any of these
No
names? Or
objection.
No.
Not seeing any. All right, so I move that all of these nominations be adopted en masse. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Is there objection? Without objection. That closes that item, and we have announcements. It says 2 minutes each, but maybe 20 seconds each. So Commissioner Anderson.
Just quickly on committee meetings, they're always open to the public too, if you don't serve as a member, and I'll wrap. Go ahead.
Once again, please give us feedback on what you'd like to see from our digital resources. We're trying to make sure we're making the right use of Twitter, making sure we're putting all these things online. Let us know what's useful to you and what you'd like to see.
2 items. We're doing a cleanup April 15th at 10 a.m. Meet at Yang Market. This is Eckington Parks and Arts, as well as myself and Commissioner Anderson. So spend your tax day with us at 10 a.m. And then DC government has picked a redevelopment partner for the Engine 12 fire station site at 5th and Rhode Island. And that'll be a 3 to 5 year project. So I imagine we'll hear about it lots of times in the future, but they've picked someone, and that was the important next step.
I'm good to go.
Great.
Yeah, I don't have anything other.
Anything else? All right.
I move to adjourn.
Commissioner Anderson moves to adjourn. Is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Commissioner Hurst. Is there objection? Without objection, we are adjourned. Our next meeting is April 25th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just in time. Please make sure to sign